today I'm going to show you how to do biscuits. This is just called the bowl biscuit method. And what I have in the bowl is White Lily self-rising flour. And you want to use more flour than you're going to need. And the whole goal is after you're done making the biscuits, you sift the flour and use for tomorrow or the next day, whenever, as long as you keep it in an airtight container. So the first thing you want to do is start patting it down, and you want to make a well. Just going to kind of pat the edges. Okay, now this is one of the recipes where it doesn't have exact measurements. You just have to eyeball it. And I'm going to use some buttermilk, and you're just going to pour the buttermilk into the well for the amount that you think you need to use. Okay, that was about a 1.5 cup of buttermilk. Like I said, all depends on the size bowl you use and how much flour and the size of the well. And then I'm going to use a good scoop of Crisco. Again, you just want to eyeball it. Should have got a knife, but oh well. There we go. Actually, I think I'm going to add one more little bit there. We don't want them dry. Okay, now I have the oven preheating at 500 degrees. Now I made these a few days ago and I didn't add any vegetable oil. Today I'm going to add a little oil just to see what difference it makes. Okay, you're just going to take your hand and mash up the shortening and oil and mix it in with the buttermilk. And you're going to add a little flour as you go around the edges. You just want to have a light hand when you do this, and you may not be able to tell since everything's white, but you just want to gradually add a little flour as you're stirring it around. And you'll just add enough flour to where the batter isn't too wet. You don't want it dry, but you also don't want it too wet. Okay, now I got the batter mixed well, and I'm just going to flour it a little bit on the top just to make sure it's not going to be too sticky on my hands. And like I say, you still want to make sure you're light-handed when you gather it up because you don't want to grab a big pile of flour that's not mixed in. This is some of the softest dough you'll ever feel, which makes a perfect, real soft and fluffy biscuit. Again, this is just one of those recipes. It's just really fun to do. And it may not turn out perfect every time, but it's definitely fun to do. And once you do it a few times, it gets easier. I'm probably taking longer than it needs to be taken. I'm just going to take and pinch off little pieces of biscuit and just form them in my hand. I want to use a little of the flour that's on the edge of the bowl, and I lightly grease my iron skillet. Okay, now I'm going to put these in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. It's one of those where you just have to watch them since it's at 500 degrees. And when I did it the first time, I think I used a little less buttermilk, so it was a little bit easier to work the dough. This was a lot more stickier, wetter dough. But it's one of those recipes you got to do multiple times just till you get the feel. Okay, once they start getting a little color on them, I like to brush them with melted butter before they get too brown. It helps them brown, but also gives them a great flavor. I pretty much do that with all my biscuits. When you make yours, take your time, don't rush like me, and they'll be a lot prettier than mine. As long as they taste good, that's the main thing. I'm going to put them back in the oven for a couple minutes. Okay, once they come out of the oven, you just want to make sure you kind of flip them up a little bit. You don't want them to get, the bottoms to get sweaty, so just go ahead and turn them up. Ooh, it's hot. And there you have it. Thanks a lot.